Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Decipher with Dezerv. Today is Saturday, the 16th of May. I'm Kushal Karkare from the investment team at Dezerv. I work on portfolio analytics and investment research. And thank you very much for taking out the time to join us here on a weekend. Now, for decades, retirement planning in India was built around a fairly simple idea: work for 30, 35 years, build a corpus, retire around 60 and live largely off fixed income and conservative investments thereafter. But the reality today looks very, very different. People are living significantly longer, healthcare is improving, lifestyles are evolving, and the definition of retirement itself has changed. Retirement today is no longer just about survival expenses. It includes travel, experiences, better healthcare, supporting children longer, and in many cases, maintaining a lifestyle that investors have spent decades building. At the same time, inflation compounds silently in the background. Not just headline inflation, but lifestyle inflation, healthcare inflation, and expectation inflation. Which means the retirement corpus numbers many investors grew up hearing, 3 crores, 4 crores, even 5 crores, may no longer mean what they once did. And that's really the core idea behind today's session. Because retirement planning is no longer just a savings exercise. It has increasingly become a long duration compounding problem. A problem where longer lifespans increase the number of years your money needs to survive. Rising aspirations increase the lifestyle of your corpus needs to support. And lower real returns make traditional retirement assumptions harder to rely on. Which is why the gap, what people think they need for retirement and what they may actually require, is widening meaningfully. Today's session is about understanding that changing reality. We'll discuss why retirement corpus calculations may need a complete rethink today, how inflation and longevity fundamentally alter long term planning, why the investing approach before and after retirement may need to evolve differently, and how investors can think about balancing growth, risk, and sustainability across decades, not just years. Joining us today is Sushmit Patodia, Group Head of Business and New Initiatives at Dezerv. Sushmit brings a diverse background across public markets, institutional investing, venture capital, and wealth management. An alumnus of IIM Ahmedabad, he spent over a decade at Motilal Oswal Financial Services, where he worked extensively in institutional equities and fund management, engaging closely with market cycles, investor behavior, and portfolio strategy. He later moved to Antler, the global early stage VC platform, where he worked with founders and new age businesses, giving him a broader perspective on innovation, business building, and emerging opportunities. At Deserve, he now leads business and new initiatives, focusing on scaling investment solutions and helping shape the firm's long term growth strategy. With experience spanning both traditional and new age investing environments, Sushmit brings a well rounded perspective on markets, investing discipline, and how investors need to evolve across cycles. Good morning and welcome, Sushmit. Great to have you with us today.
Thank you, Kushal. I'm sorry, my internet glitched. I'm back. Just one small correction. I'm proud of my alma mater. I'm Bangalore, not I'm Ahmedabad. Uh,
Apologies for that.
Great. So let's get started. And uh, this whole topic has kind of hit a lot of people, especially when Sandeep, our founder CEO, had a podcast with Sonia Shenoy, and we thought, just we need to demystify this number, and that's the reason we are having this webinar. This is not a number meant to advertise or to create panic or to create anxiety. This is a number that we truly believe is the requirement in the context of what Sonia Shenoy had asked. And this number will be different for everyone, but it's very important that we start thinking about this number. Yeah, that's the whole reason we're having this webinar. And one of the things that I want to start with, right, which is, and I want everyone to think about this on the call. And how long do you think you will live? And I think this is extremely important for all of us. As I was saying, that the retirement age was very close to your average life expectancy, so we didn't have to worry about retirement as much. But what's happened and what is continuing to happen is the life expectancy is expanding, right? So, for example, today We are almost at 72. And as you can see, we've added 8 years to life expectancy. And with the entire revolution in AI and what AI can do, especially with things like protein folding, there is a strong expectation that this could go till 80, 85. Right? So in 20 years from now, is this number likely to be closer to 80? The answer is probabilistically yes. If that happens, then the gap between retirement and life expectancy goes from 4 years to 20 years for most of us on this call, right? And that is really the fundamental change that has happened for us to have this conversation. And the rub here is very interesting because one is to be average, but the people on this call are not average, right? We are probably in the top 1% of our country, because of which we have access to right food, we have access to healthcare, we have access to sanitation and stuff like that. And that adds another 5 years to your life expectancy, right? So this is the reason why we believe that sitting today, if you're a 40-year-old and 20 years out, when you retire, when someone retires, you have to assume for your planning that you will live for another 30 years, right? And this is really the big difference that's happened uh, in our in our country over the last 20 years versus the next 20 years. Uh, Mr. Benjamin Franklin said this in 1789. There are only two things which are certain in our lives: death and taxes. The unfortunate part is we have what is less certain is when the first one arrives, right? And how long we'll have to wait for that to arrive. He said it in jest, but I think the larger point that he was trying to make is that you have to plan for certainty, and certainty is death and taxes. Uh, this comes to now come to the fact that okay, if we all believe that we are going to live, if not till 90, at least till 80 or 90, then the question is how much are our expenses going up? And I think this is very, very important for all of us to understand. There are two reasons our expenses go up. What you typically see is what we call the consumer price index, or so-called inflation, which RBI reports, and we all kind of think that that is our inflation. So if you look at CPI headline, which is the consumer price inflation for the last 10 years, has been 7%. Is it possible that we go towards 4%? Yes, right. So that is the CPI inflation. But for the time being, let's run this with 5 to 7%. The more important aspect, which we call lifestyle creep inflation, right? And this is something that is happening to us on a yearly basis, not reported as much in the large numbers, but happens to most of us on a daily, weekly, yearly basis. And these are some of the examples that we have put here for you to think about and see how our what we call the lifestyle creep inflation has happened, right? In 1996, again, I'm taking 1996 because that's approximately 30 years ago. Uh, the way of transportation was two-wheeler, right? Now it is two cars and quarterly flights, right? Family holiday was by train mostly once a year because it was so inconvenient, right? Now there are three trips being planned, right, and all flying. One landline, it was almost impossible to make calls using STD calls or ISD calls, so we didn't have a big telephone bill. Now, there are smartphones, fiber, cloud, OTTs, and so on. Government school was not expensive. I remember I studied in a school where I paid 500 rupees tuition fees a quarter, and now obviously that'll not even cover an hour in the class anymore, right? Uh, uh, you know, uh, Again, most of the times at that time the lunch was a tiffin box that you carried. Dinner was for sure home, and now we have fancy weekend brunches. We have the food delivery apps, Swiggy, Zomato, who on the press of a button gives you delicious hot pipe warming food, right? So this is what we call the lifestyle creep inflation that happens, which is very, very difficult to put in numbers. It is a very, very personal thing as well, but very difficult to put in numbers. Yeah. So these are the two things. So life expectancy plus inflation are the two factors that we need to consider when you think about retirement. The other mindset shift, right? And this is when I was kind of making this presentation, I spoke to my parents about this, and they made a very interesting point, which I thought we don't appreciate enough, which is again 25 years ago, you could earn 12% tax free in a public provident fund, right? So 12% tax free guaranteed by the government of India. Which, if you think about it, is if I tell you that I can give you 12% tax free guaranteed by the government of India, it'll sound like a dream today, but that was the case 30 years ago, right? For 25 years ago. Today, let's look at the reality today, right? Today, especially in fixed income, the best you could get from a honorable borrower is about 7.5 to 8%, right? Uh, and the tax that you pay is is the full tax rate, right? So just imagine your post-tax yield on fixed income has gone from 12% 25 years ago to approximately 4 to 5% now, right? That is another massive shift that's happened. Again, think of yourself 25 years, in 2000, you're retired, your life expectancy is maybe 5 to 7 years more. You are getting 12% tax free from the government of India. You don't have to worry about all this, right? You don't have to. Uh, there was no Swiggy, there were no flights, there was no OTT, there was no mobile, right? So you didn't have to worry about all this. All you had to worry about is to get your kids educated or married. Right. So I think that is the other big. So these three, if you put together, are the big changes that have happened and will continue to happen as we go into the next 20 years or 30 years in India. Right. So just to summarize, number one is uh, the life expectancy. Used to be 4 years from retirement. Now it looks like this is going to go towards 20 to 30 years. Number one. Number two, there is significant inflation from a lifestyle creep perspective, which necessarily did not happen so much 20 years ago, 30 years ago. And third, the fixed income options, which typically you look for once you retire, were very bountiful 25 years ago, are not as bountiful today, right? So if you put all these three together, uh, we come to that we start thinking about numbers now. So, this is a very interesting. This is a survey that was done. There's one very popular survey by the academicians in India. It's called the Consumer Survey, and they used to typically ask, what is the uh, retirement corpus. So, this data is there, and as you can see, in 1986, when this question was asked, the monthly expense for a family of four was 2,000 rupees, obviously average, and people said 10 lakhs. But when you turn 60, you needed 40 lakhs, right? And so on and so forth. So as you can see, even historically, people have kind of underestimated what they would need for retirement. Cool. This brings us to the magical 40 number, and I think, you know, if you look at what assumptions we have put, the current age is 40, right? Assuming you'll retire at 60, life expectancy of 90, current monthly expenses at 2 lakhs. We are assuming you will not want to leave any legacy behind, which I'm sure most of us would want to leave something behind. Pre-retirement lifestyle inflation 9%. As we discussed, the underlying inflation is 4 to 5%, and you add some lifestyle creep, it is not outlandish to think of 7 to 9%. Post-retirement inflation, mostly because of healthcare, we've taken at 7%. This number could be much lower for people, but we've taken at 7%. And we've been aggressive with post-retirement return on investment to be 7%. This is the math that we did to get to the 40 crore number required 20 years from now, right? As you can see, we have not, this is kind of assuming, you will not have too much tax incidence, right? Uh, yeah. So, Kushal, should we do this for you?
Yeah, sure. So let's say I'm 30 years old.
Okay.
Uh, Life expectancy you can keep the same. Maybe you would want to retire earlier, let's say 50.
Okay.
Current monthly expenses at a lakh.
Okay.
and would want to leave behind maybe 5 crores.
Okay.
Yeah, I think these numbers look spot on.
Okay.
Would,
Great.
would maybe like to think that I'm a slightly better investor and would get a higher rate of investment post retirement, maybe put that at an 8.
Okay. Uh, I also know, Kushal, that you don't have an expansive lifestyle. I am assuming that you will continue to have to remain simple. So maybe I'll keep this at 5. And yeah, obviously you will pay taxes. I'm assuming 12.5%. Let's take 15 to be safe. Yeah. So yeah, you will need approximately 25 crores and please, everybody, please do remember that in Kushal's case, we are assuming 40 years of retired life, right? Which is quite a large number if you think about it, right? Quite a large number if you think about it. So the amount of corpus he'll need is 24.7 crores, right? To be built over the next 20 years, right? Uh, does this look stupid? Is it possible? Can you do it? That's the whole point, right? Like we think that with planning, with some discipline, and the right asset allocation, this is possible. So let's
Just to call out, folks, any questions that you may have, please drop them in the chat box and we'll address them towards the end. Yeah, back to you, Sushmit.
Thanks. Great. Uh, so, as we saw, 2 lakh a month, you need 40 crores. If you have 1 lakh a month expenses today, you would need 20 crores, right? Now, this is the other thing that we have heard a lot of our clients talk about, and in the past, which is I will live simply, right? And trust me, this is easier said than done. Most of you, if any of you have moved from traveling in trains to traveling in aircrafts, and if I tell you to go back to trains, I would love to know how many of you will go back, right? It's very, very difficult, right? So we always believe that lifestyle inflation is very difficult to reverse, right? Uh, Whoever is driving a car today, can you go back to riding a two-wheeler after retirement? Unlikely, right? Uh, can you go back to, let's say you eat avocados, right? Can you go back to not eating avocados? Very, very tough, right? So stuff like that. I think the simply live concept, you can do away with a few things, but some of the core things that have changed for you, yeah, unlikely to go. The second is people talk um, from a reference of today's expense, which is 1 to 2 lakhs a month today. But obviously, as we've discussed, this is not going to be 20 years from now, right? The same 1 lakh will give you much lesser expenses. The the third, kind of sad but funny thing is, people have said, I'm sure I will not live past 75, right? And again, you know, the world, some of the world's best founders and minds are out to increase longevity for people. And I think, I don't think we should compete against them. There are so many things, so many innovations that are happening on longevity. I am pretty certain that we will all live way beyond 75. Uh, the last one, and I think this is again, sometimes I feel it's wishful thinking. Pre the AI revolution, everybody said, okay, so what? I'll work till 65. But I think now we all know that working till even 60 to be relevant till 60 is a surmount is not an easy goal anymore, right? So I think uh, again, please do not simplify the problem from these lenses, right? Frankly, if you're able to, then you will have some surplus, great, right? But don't start off simplifying the problem with these things. Uh, this comes to how do we make this money? And I think that is very important. I hope everyone kind of is at least thinking about the three aspects of retirement planning, which is, what are my current expenses? What is the inflation? Uh, how much do I want to leave behind? And what is the income that I will earn, once I retire, right? So I think putting all this together, you will get to an answer, which may look scary to you from a today's perspective, but the next few tiles will try and explain to you why it is not as scary as it looks, right? The engine to deliver retirement is compound interest, which is, I mean, everybody knows the formula: A is equal to P into 1 plus R whole power T. I think Mr. Albert Einstein the code is attributed to Albert Einstein. Nobody heard him talk about it. He basically said that compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. He who understands it earns it. He who doesn't pays for it. So what is the destination? Let's, for this discussion, let's assume 40 crores. And, if it is 20 crores, you can obviously divide everything by two as we speak, right? So 40 crores, assuming that you have a house, and we are not counting, other assets for the time being. This is the most simplified version of reaching the 40 crore number for everyone. If you have 1.25 crores, we call this the 1.25 magic. If you have 1.25 crores today, uh, and you can do a 1.25 lakh SIP every month, which you can slowly grow as per your salary, uh, you will get to 40 crores, right, in 20 years. And that is the beauty, right? Uh, 40 looks very, very big, but all it takes is 1.25 crores of starting amount, 1.25 lakh of SIP for 20 years, and all this compounding at 12.5%, right? That is what it takes. So we always say that the P that you see in the formula of compounding is split two way. One is the starting point, and the other is the monthly as well. Right? What do you do monthly? And we'll show you how this is as important sometimes as the initial amount, right? Just for from a number perspective, the initial amount gives you almost 40%, while the SIP gives you about 60%. How do we think about the 12.5% number? Uh, you know, this is forward looking, so it is not so much in our control. Historically, if you look at Indian market returns have been about 14 to 15%, including dividends, long-term returns. We've just taken 12.5% as a more conservative number. But the three things that are in our control are cost, tax, and behavior, right? Uh, what is cost? So please ensure, and one of the things that we're very proud about at Deserve is we are able to keep cost of customers low. So please do be mindful of your cost. There are various ways that your investments attract cost. If you are into direct stocks, you think you it's the cheapest way, but I would request all of you to look at how much brokerage you have paid as a percentage of the gains you have made, right? So that is how cost affects you in direct stocks. In mutual funds, regular versus direct, everybody knows the story. And in insurance, obviously, you pay a very, very heavy acquisition cost to the agent. Uh, Tax, yeah, we have to be extremely smart about tax. Tax could take away, currently long-term capital gain, including surcharges, almost 15%. So if you think about it, that you will make 15% return, almost 2.5% go away in tax, right? So tax is quite substantial. We have to be very, very careful about tax. Uh, Again, in India context, mutual funds is the most tax efficient vehicle available to invest. Third, completely in our control, but at the same time, we have, as they say, that a lot of us have monkey minds, because of which this happens. There's a very, very interesting research put out in the US, and they do this every year. They have seen that the average investor who invests in markets in the US earns 40% lower than what the funds return, right? So if the funds have returned 10%, a normal investor earns 6 to 7%. Right? And this is primarily because of behavior, which is, getting out at the bottom, buying, for example, defense funds last year, or stuff like that, right? Like, trying to catch the best and the latest leads to this behavior. Yeah. Great. I think this is how, and this is also the, in a way, the problem with compounding, right? So let's say we start with 1.25 crores. In year 5, you only get to 3.5, right? In year 10, you get to 8.4. Year 15, you get to only 19, right? But that's when the magic begins. The last 5 years, you get 50% of the 40 crores. Right? And that is why we call this, it's a slow but sudden, right? So things happen very slowly, but then they happen suddenly, right? The number suddenly comes and hits you. This is the frankly, Mr. Warren Buffett understood this. People say that he understood this at the age of 11, and that's why he became what he became. And if all of us, kind of appreciate this, you will realize that, whatever number you want to put is not unattainable. The problem is it takes a long time to show up, right? It takes a very, very long time to show up. But this is the beauty of compounding, and also the reason why it takes a lot of behavioral effort to get this result. The other important thing is the monthly SIP, and we thought we can illustrate this using very, very simple scenarios. So let's say you start SIP when you're at 40, you want to get to 40 crores. As we discovered, you only need 1.25 lakhs, right? Uh, let's say you want to buy that fancy car and you end up buying the fancy car, so you can't do an SIP, but you start at 45, right? You will need 3.5 lakhs, right? Nearly three times of what we started just because of a 5-year delay, right? Uh, uh, let's say you go out and buy another car and you can only start your SIP at the age of 50, right? You will need 10.4 lakhs, right? Which is nearly 8 times of what you would have needed if you had started at 40, right? And uh, this is again one of the most important things about wealth creation. It is, you know, to starting early is sometimes as important as the amount itself, right? So, as in the case that we saw with Kushal, we needed about 20 odd crores, and you can divide everything by half, right? So he would need a starting corpus of about 60 lakhs, an SIP of 60 lakhs, sorry, 60 1,000 rupees, and he would get to his number, right? Great. I think the way we do this is with a very simple framework. We call it the ASER framework. We believe that compounding requires some discipline and needs some formula which will help us to stay on this path. We believe in ASER. So one is access, which is how many funds, what are the various instruments that we can invest in, right? I think it is very, very important that all of us have at least access to all the assets that are available. Again, it is not easy. You will, most of you, if you have all the 6 boxes that we have listed here, are likely to have at least 2 or 3 execution apps, right? For you to get here, and that becomes a problem, right? One of the things that we always believe is to stay in anything for 20 years, it has to be simple, right? If I tell you that if something is very complex and you have to spend a lot of time, it's like, imagine you are driving down a highway and it's got potholes every 100 meters, right? That makes it very tough for you to keep driving, right? And compounding journey is very similar. You need the road to be smooth. Smoothness can come from simplicity and less volatility, right? So very, very important that you keep it simple. As most of you know, we have analyzed about 7.5 lakh client portfolios, and on an average, for every 50 lakh rupees that anybody has, they have more than 35 mutual funds, right? Makes it very, very difficult for you to be in this journey. So the first step is to have access in a simplified manner to all these things. Second, and I think this is in a way, the toughest part, which is how do you select, right? Fine, I have access to all of them, but how do I select? When do I put in money? When do I remove money? And so on and so forth. This is a full-time job, right? This is not a part-time job. This is a full-time job. I mean, we have a 25-member team, multiple, LLM models running on it. This is a full-time job. Even then, you are not guaranteed to succeed, right? So the only thing that we can tell you is there are a few things that we know for sure don't work, right? So, for example, going out and buying the fund or the sector which has got the maximum flow typically doesn't work, right? Uh, you know, selling something which is down 40%, of selling a fund which is down 25-30% normally doesn't work. Right? So I think not having an asset allocation normally doesn't work, right? So we know what doesn't work, but what works is a million things. So you need to be, this is like a full-time job, right? And I request everyone to, it's like imagine if Kushal and I came into your workplace and started doing your job as time passed, as a hobby, we would fail miserably, right? Same thing, is how selection of any instrument in investing is tough. Uh, then comes allocation, and allocation is critical primarily to allow for smoothness, right? So that you don't have, we've seen gold as an asset class be as volatile as equity, right? So, you cannot just say that I will invest 100% in gold and be comfortable. It doesn't work. It is as volatile. And so is, equity. So you need to have a good asset allocation for the road to be smooth.
Sushmit, just jumping in here quickly on the allocation bit, I'm sure a lot of folks will have questions surrounding how one should see this evolving as they approach retirement, because it may not be the same across the entire 20, 30-year journey, right? So how does
Yeah,
one approach that?
yeah. A great question, Kushal. I think uh, allocation is a function of what you want to achieve, right? Which is, do you want to achieve 10%, 12%, 15%, 18% returns, and what the money should do for you, right? These are the two main drivers of allocation, right? So if you static allocation, there are two aspects to allocation. I'll cover the second aspect. The first aspect is, okay, I've decided now where do I allocate, right? So that needs two questions to be answered. Number one, uh, what is the long-term plan for this money, right? Which is, should it compound at 12%, should it compound at 15%? And we accordingly, you can make up an asset allocation. The second question is what you were referring to, which is, uh, what do you want this money to do? Do you want this money to grow? You don't need to withdraw for 20 years. You will have a different asset allocation, right? But as you said, as I go towards retirement, right, the sole purpose of this money is to actually start funding my expenses, correct?
Correct.
When that happens, I cannot be in a volatile asset class because I have a smooth requirement of the money, right? So which means that you will start moving more and more towards safer fixed income kind of instruments, right? So, for example, I'm just for illustration purpose, if you start, let's say, Kushal, with 80-20 today, right? By the time you retire at the age of 50, this would almost become 20-80, right?
Good.
So let's say 80% equity, 20% debt. As you go closer to retirement, will become 20% uh, uh, equity and 80% debt, right? So that's how the asset allocation changes. The reason it changes is because what should the money do for you and what do you want the money to do as well, right? So both the aspects. The more interesting part about allocation is not the static part, because you will decide, let's say, 80% equity, 20% fixed income, but that number keeps changing on a daily basis, right? If equity
Correct.
markets go up, 80 becomes higher. If the equity markets go down, 80 becomes lower. It is very, very important to rebalance asset allocation, right? So one of the things that we are seeing across clients is, if you had 10% allocation towards gold and silver, let's say a year ago, that number is now almost 15%, right? Because equity has gone down and gold has gone up. It's very important to speak with your manager, with your relationship manager or your distributor, and get this aligned, right? It is very, very important. The reason that asset allocation was made is not to be static, but to be dynamic, right? You have to dynamically adjust it. And that's where it comes to the review part. It's very, very important to keep reviewing and rebalancing. Else, you don't, frankly, if you don't review and rebalance, you should not do asset allocation, right? Because it doesn't matter. Because eventually one asset will again become 95%, and then again the whole asset allocation goes for a toss. Cool. I think this is broadly what I wanted to cover. Just to summarize, again, the whole talk about retirement is important in India today, primarily because of life expectancy. The gap between retirement and our living age has gone up from 5 years to almost 20, 30 years now. Uh, Inflation is a certainty, both at an absolute item level and at a lifestyle level. Third, the fixed income instruments that were available are no more available. Taxation has gone up. And if you are spending 2 lakh rupees today, you have 20 years to live, 20 years to work, 30 years to live after that. You need 40 crore to retire. The 40 crore looks like a big number, but it is, for illustration purposes, 1.25 crore starting, 1.25 lakh SIP at 12.5% will broadly get you to 40 crores. And the thing with compounding is that it'll only, uh, the number will show up in the 15th to 20th year, not in the first 5 years. So it is slowly, then suddenly. Uh, this is portfolio management, or any allocation is a full-time job. You need four aspects: access, selection, allocation, and review. All these four uh, need to be well aligned, well reviewed dynamically, time and time again, uh, so that you reach your goal. Cool. That's what I wanted to cover.
Super. So let's dive into the questions.
Sure.
Okay, so we have a lot of questions on access to this calculator. Yeah, folks, our host has put the link to the calculator in the chat. Please feel free to play around with it. Okay, Sushmit, are you considering the impact of depreciating rupee? Is that also part of what you're putting as a savings deflator?
Yeah. So, very interestingly, the rupee depreciation plays into the inflation number you see, right? So, if you think about it, most of the rupee depreciation impact happens at a consumer level, and the 4 to 7% number that you see kind of captures that. Obviously, if you have, for example, a lot of travel, right? You have a lot of, for some reason, you spend a lot on gadgets, or you would have a higher inflation, right? So it's very, very personal. If you ask me, typically, a typical person, the impact of rupee depreciation is about 2 to 3% inflation higher than what the general India reports, right? So if India reports 5% inflation, if you are a heavy traveler or a heavy consumer of electronics, you could add 2 to 3% more, right? Apart from the lifestyle. But I would say that today rupee depreciation looks very scary. Rupee has depreciated 15% in the last 1 year. Uh, you know, again, I would request you to not think of this as the trend, right? It is unlikely to depreciate 15% every year. If that happens, then we will be very close to going from an emerging country to a underdeveloped country. So yeah, I think add 2 to 3% to inflation. Yeah.
Got it. We also have a question, not so much a question. They said for a sizable chunk of the population in India, the children traditionally take care of their parents, right? So how does all of this factor into our entire working year?
I mean, you are extremely lucky if you can think of it and plan for it. Frankly, I'm close to 40 years old. I don't uh, I don't want to plan that scenario, right? If that happens, then great. I would love to give the money back to society, but I would not want to plan that scenario. Frankly, those are, as I said, right? It takes me back to those. Uh, you know this is one of the other one more of the four, right? Saying my kids will take care of my life once I retire. Again, I really think that this concept used to exist because retirement uh, to end of life was 5 years, 7 years. But I think once that becomes 20, 30 years, I'm not sure how many of us will be okay with our kids taking care of us for 30 years. Yeah.
Got it. Um, there is a question. Yeah, so maybe you could shed some light on this. I'm sure it's personalized, varies from individual to individual, but some of the folks are asking, wouldn't my travel and other expenses reduce as I move from 60 to 90?
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely, it would reduce. And, the other cost that will come up, uh, you know, your healthcare cost will go up, right? Uh, you, you could have other interests that could come up that could actually lead to more expenses. But again, as I said, I'll go back to the calculator maybe. And yeah, so let's say, let's go back to 40, 60, and 2. And let's say 7 again. 7, right? So yeah, this is broadly what we were, and now 40 crores, right? Now let's assume that you don't want to touch this. You are saying this could go down significantly, right? So let's say your post-retirement inflation, you will say that my expenses will only inflate at what the RBI or what the government or the typical Indian inflation is. So let's put it at 3% or 4%, right? Yeah. And let's put back tax. Yeah, so you'll need 30 crores, right? I mean, so that the important thing is for us is that you think of this, right? And this is important, which is great. My expenses are my inflation will be very low. I'm going to lead a much simpler life. Great, right? All that is fine. You can put a much smaller inflation. You can put 3% or, even 2%, right? So that number is between 25 and 30 crores.
Got it.
And one thing that I should please mention is that this is not a math exercise, right? Please don't fixate on the number as much as on the thinking, right? So um, in our profession, we say it is very important to be roughly right than accurately wrong, right? Most of us will try to be accurate about it. That is not the point. There is no way you will know how much you will spend, how much you will earn, how much your investments will grow. But you need to be in the vicinity of it, right? And that is why, this is, I think people are fixated at the 40 number. That's not the point. The point is for you to think about it and be in the vicinity, right? 25 to 35. That if that is the vicinity that works for you, great, right? Absolutely great. We have achieved the objective of this webinar.
Got it. We have a question around FIRE, right? Financial independence, retire early. How does this fundamentally differ from that, or is there something that ties the two together?
Yeah. So if you ask me, fire is a great concept for people who I think uh, have something to pursue, which will get some income post fire, right? It, I mean, I cannot like just imagine. Let me illustrate what fire, which became a rage during COVID, what people were trying to do, right? 25-year-olds were saying, I want to retire at 40, right? Uh, Maybe their monthly expenses were very low. Obviously, I'm not sure about legacy. We'll leave that, right? And yeah, I mean, the, sorry, yeah, they would need about 28 crores, right? Uh, so I'm not sure if people think about this, right? Fire was more like 1 crore and you could fire, right? Like I didn't understand how a 1 crore amount could lead to you living for 50 years of your life, right? Again, let's see what 1 crore meant, right? Yeah, if your monthly expenses were 10,000 rupees, you could fire at 2.8 crores, right? And that's my worry that these are great sounding concepts, but I'm pretty certain the fire as a concept was brought out not for people like at least me who don't have any other pursuits, but for people who wanted to retire and pursue art or music and they could get paid for it.
Got it. So, Sushma, slightly off topic, but
Yeah.
a question around the acceleration of the adoption of AI and how all of this is going to affect not only the world, but this calculation as well.
Yeah. Uh, so AI is probably, one of the most amazing technological revolutions that we are all living through. Uh, you know, and I spent some time reading about technology revolutions over the last 1 week and seeing what has happened in history, right? It's very, very interesting, the parallels in history, all the way from car versus horse carriages, right, to railways. When railroad happened in the late 1850s, the largest employed people were the canal operators, right? Because that's how people used to move. And same thing, world will come to an end kind of a thing. And this has happened time and time again. The closest that most of us could relate to is the banking sector in India. If you remember when ATM came, people said banking employment is over, right? Nothing happened. I mean, some other roles came up. The teller role obviously reduced, right? Then internet banking came saying bank branches will shut down. We are at all-time high bank branches in India right now. UPI came, right? Finally, death knell of banks, right? My point is that any technology that increases productivity, right, leads to more surplus in the society, which will actually lead to a better outcome, right? There'll be newer jobs. Now, if you ask me, in India, we have about 50 lakh people working in the IT space. If you combine everything, that number, IT, yes, if you combine GCC, everything, that number probably goes to about 75, 80 lakhs, right? Will their jobs change? Maybe, right? But is that a number that will destabilize the economy? No, right? And that's my larger point. At the end of the day, there are 140 crore people in India. The people who are directly getting impacted by IT is about 70 lakhs to 1 crore at the max, right? Other jobs will be created, newer jobs will be created, newer profiles will be created, right? I think social media influencer, right? 5 years ago, there was no concept of like what was an influencer, right? Anyone who was walking with a camera on in a public area was considered public nuisance, right? Today, they are influencers, they make money, right? So I think I would again request everyone to be optimistic about it, as because it's creating surplus in the society, right? It's not, if it was an invention of a drug, an addictive substance which caused health issues, then I would be more worried about what will happen to this calculator. But frankly, historically, if you see, any technology that has led to surplus in the society has led to more jobs, different type of jobs, right? Completely different type of jobs. I have no idea what jobs will come up, but history tells us that some jobs will come up.
Got it. Uh, Linking back to the discussion we had earlier about how your asset allocation needs to shift as you approach retirement, right? So, how does one go about safely withdrawing from this corpus post retirement without worrying about this number going haywire?
Can you repeat the last part, Kushal?
Yeah, so like I mentioned that we spoke about the asset allocation changing as you approach retirement. Post retirement, how does one go about withdrawing from this corpus, from debt, equity, commodities without worrying about this number going haywire?
Yeah. Great question. The So hopefully by the time you get to retirement, your asset allocation at that point would have shifted, right? From let's say heavy equity heavy to fixed income. Post that, depending on the instrument you have, right? Let's say you have a mutual fund. 80% of your corpus is in debt mutual funds. You could do a simple SWP, right? It is the most tax efficient way. Systematic withdrawal plan is the most tax efficient way to do it. There is another way to deal with this, which is you move 6 months of your expenses into a bank account, right, and keep withdrawing it from there. Right? So again, every person to themselves. You could use any of the two approaches, but and this calculator kind of takes into account the um, the withdrawal that happens, right? So if you were to see the math behind the calculator, it will go towards zero at the age of 90.
Got it. So I'll address this quickly. A lot of folks would like to know their current situation and how they get to a number that suits them, right? Folks, I would recommend you reach out to your RM at Deserve, and we'd be more than happy to guide you through this process. Cool. I believe we've adequately answered all the questions. Sushmit, before I let you go, if viewers remember just one thing from today's discussion,
Yeah.
what do you think it should be?
Uh, we need to talk about retirement planning because we most of us are likely to live for 20 to 30 years post our work life. And that is the biggest change, right? That is the biggest change. That is a conversation that no one is having in India, but that is a conversation we all need to have in India.
Got it. Super. Thanks everyone for joining us today. Thank you very much, Sushmit, for your insights. We hope this session gave you useful perspective on how retirement planning itself is evolving in today's world. And as always, thank you for spending your Saturday morning with us and have a great weekend ahead.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank you,
everyone.
everyone.
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme related documents carefully.